It's more dangerous to have a B plus life than it is to have a B minus life. B minus
So
C plus
good.
life, you'll get out of it because it's not sustainable. But B plus, you can bump along for decades. I call it the velvet coffin.
Oh,
okay?
my goodness,
It's
so
so
good.
comfy. It's a velvet coffin and the lid's sort of slowly closing on you.
Born in 92 on the block with the Sharks. Come from a different cloth, y'all would get ripped apart. You want it diamond, then you gotta get it in the dark. We dropping nuggets like Carmelo went to Rucker Park. Now we eating from state to state, we scrape the plate. I put my eggs in a basket, took a leap of faith. I took a chance, now we grow and see the impact. Decoding Success with special guests, now let's bring Matt.
Suzy Welch, welcome to Decoding Success.
All right.
First question for you. You talk a lot about becoming you.
Mm-hmm.
So is becoming you really about discovering you or more about unlearning who you thought you were?
It is both because people are people. I mean, it is about excavating you because so much stuff gets between who you really are and who you're telling the world you are. So it is both at the same time, depending on how up in your own grill you are.
So are they like one comes before the other? Like, what do you see more often?
It depends on the person. I mean, some people are really
Individualized.
self-actualized, okay, and they come and they can come into the process and they say, "I know my values and they're reasonably accurate, and I know my aptitudes and they're reasonably accurate, okay, and I know my interests." But other people come into the process and they are so far removed from who they really are that it is a major surgical procedure.
Why are they so far removed from who they really are?
Okay, because there's these four very well-established dynamics. I call them the four horsemen of values and really life destruction.
Yeah.
And they're the stuff that gets between us and who we are. So the first one is expectations. The world and your culture and your people and your family and yourself, you all have expectations about who you're supposed to be. Who you're supposed to be. That's in our head all the time. That's the white noise in our head. We're like starting from when we're 2 years old. So there's expectations. And I could talk the full hour about them, but then let's just move on to the second thing that gets in the way. And that's expedience. Like sometimes it's just easier to be a certain version of yourself because to be your true self would involve a really hard conversation with somebody that you love or even somebody who just is in your life. And so we just take the path of least resistance. It would be, I want to be that thing over there. I have to go back to school. Okay, I want to be that thing over there. I'd have to give up a habit that I really don't want to give up. Okay, so there's expedience. It gets right in the way. Then there's just life events. I mean, you could want to be somebody else, but you could have like a baby, or you could get fired, or you could find out you have diabetes or whatever, and you can't get right to it. Okay, so there's life events get in the way of what we want for ourselves all the time. And then the fourth horseman of destruction there is economic security because the world tells us, and we tell ourselves, and behavioral economics would tell you that we just do a lot of things based on money, whether we care about money or not.
Yeah.
And so those things get in the way. And that's a lot. I mean, I remember teaching this one time at NYU, and I was describing these four horsemen, and there was a woman in the second row, and she was holding up the number 4, and tears were streaming down her face, and she was signaling to me, guess what, all 4 are in my, sometimes people say, well, it's expectations, or it's one of the 4, but she had all 4. And that is not uncommon.
When it comes to expectations, I'm curious, like, and maybe you might say, Matt, this doesn't even matter, right? I'm just coming up from a place of curiosity here. Does self-expectation weigh more heavily than other people's expectation? Like
it depends on the person.
Okay,
I mean, it really
individualized.
depends on the person. I mean, I had a student one time, and she went through the process twice, and it kept on telling her when we finished the process, you're sort of told, hey, guess what? Here's your purpose. And I'm talking about the methodology that I use. And when she came out the end of it, it was like, you should be a Zumba teacher. And she was like, I can't be a Zumba teacher. I have an MBA. And that was herself talking to herself. But I think parents' voices were in her head. So depending on who we are, we can let it be other people telling us, or we can let it be ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes both.
Do you feel like we have more than one purpose in life?
We have to.
We have to
because, well, look, if you had one, you'd be kind of screwed right now because the world is changing so rapidly. So maybe your purpose is to be a job that's getting automated, and that's it. Or, you want to be X and that job does not exist anymore. But I think that there are some people who have a singular purpose, and they know it from when they're very little. And these people present very clearly, like, it's to be a brain surgeon, or it's to be like an actor. Okay, they've got a very singular purpose. But those are not mere mortals. I mean, most people kind of go on a journey And we call these, when we do the methodology, we tell people you've got, let's start with just 3 ideas of what your purpose could be, because the world is changing very rapidly right now. And so you can't be everything. And there's only one you, and you've only got one set of values, one set of aptitudes, and one set of interests. But between those 3 sets of data, there's probably a couple things you could do.
I was curious because like in preparation for this, just like listening to you on other podcasts and the book and all of the things, I'm like, what if your purpose, I mean, we evolve, right? Like obviously, we evolve. So why wouldn't our purpose evolve with us, right?
Well, your values and aptitudes don't really evolve, to be honest with you. I mean, your aptitudes are set. I mean, what your cognitive aptitudes and your emotional...
Aptitudes meaning like personality?
Well, there's 2 different parts of aptitudes.
Okay.
Aptitudes are your hardwiring. So personality is one part of it. That's your emotional aptitudes and how you show up. And then the other part is your cognitive your intellectual aptitudes, and that's like generalist or specialist, future focuser, present focuser, brainstormer. So they're sort of a diagnostic problem solver, how your brain actually works. That's pretty set by 15. All social science would tell you it's set by 15.
Really?
Your personality can evolve. It can. I mean, but most people... it's an open question how much people actually change their personalities. Sometimes we learn to be better governors of our personality, and we do less stupid, shitty things to other people as time goes on, and we understand the consequences of it. But so aptitudes are not, you can't wave a magic wand and really change your aptitudes. And in terms of values, your values are pretty set by your mid-20s. Now, a seismic event can certainly change them. A death or a divorce can change your values somewhat. But I think the research will show, we don't have the great research on this yet, but we will shortly, that your values are pretty set by your mid-20s.
That's so interesting. So like for life, you're saying?
Well, your interests can really change. Okay, your interest and what the world has available to you can really change. All right, so it may be that you were like really interested in this one field, and then that field goes away because of automation or technology or human needs or whatever, and your interests are going to have to evolve. We have an endless there's an endless amount of interest that we can have over the course of our lives. Now, because of our personality and our values, not everything interests us, but that can expand. For sure.
I have to ask you this question because you have all of these answers, like you've been asked these questions before. So I'm going to ask you a bit of a curveball to an extent.
Go for it.
What's a question you wish more people would ask you?
Look, I guess in general, I'm a real data nerd, and I really, really love sort of the story of like how we came up with the methodology and the ValuesBridge and like all this sort of like, how many times did you, but most people don't sit there and say, oh, unpack the entire methodology and its origin story for me. So I suppose, but that's actually a reflection of just how much of an incredible intellectual journey and joy it was to create the whole thing. I mean, most people want to talk to me about the final product, and I'm kind of like, ooh, talk to me about like this time I changed my PhD thesis because we discovered X from the research. Yes, I know it. I know. That's the nerdy Suzy.
What makes you the nerdy Suzy? Like, is that just like how you came up?
Yeah, I think I was always the nerdy Suzy. Like one thing, like very early differentiator for me is like I was just loved school. I was like one of those kids like, oh, I wish school was 7 days, okay, and a week, and I was always like, oh, I wish school went longer. So I think that look, my dad was a nerd. He was an architect, and he was really nerdy too. I always loved reading. So I think it's just
the power of influence.
A little bit of no, I don't know. I don't know if it was influence.
You don't think you were influenced?
I think that I don't look. No one knows nature versus nurture. It might have been that I just got his genes. Who knows? And remember, like, I'll have my PhD in this stuff, so I'm not going to like say, oh yeah, it was influence. I mean, it was like, there's values formation and there's values expression, and I don't know why I am, and no one will ever know why I am exactly why I am, because how you came to be who you are is a gigantic cauldron, right? If you just imagine it, a big stew pot, and what goes into it, your parents, your friends, your culture, your society, your genes, childhood trauma, there's a million things that go into that pot, and then you stir it, and you tell me, how you came out exactly as you were. It's a bit of everything. Yeah.
What I appreciate about what you just shared is like, I feel like what we do in society now, definitely myself, is like try to find the answer to things that does it even make a difference in our lives, right? So you're like, okay, could it be influenced? Sure. Could it not be influenced yet? Like,
yeah. And I think that, I'm in this field of values expression. Like my students, or the people who I teach in the workshops when I'm teaching the methodology out of NYU, they always like, they'll find out what their values are. Like they'll take the ValuesBridge test and they'll find out what their values are. And the first thing they want to do is speculate with me about how they got that value. Like, oh, I've got family centrism as number one. Do you think it's because when I was growing up, and I'm like, take that up with your therapist. I'm not a therapist. And I don't even play one on TV. I mean, like, take it up with your therapist. It's go figure out how you came to be the person you are. I'm all about the future. I want to talk about where you're going. That's my area. And so I don't have, no shade on figuring out why you are the way you are. For some people, that's very fulfilling. I'm sorry, but I just don't care. Like, I'm all about figuring out where you should go next. And I'm not the person to talk about how you got to be how you are.
If you're all about the future, how do you support, like, I don't want to call it the expectation gap, but like if we're like super future focused, for me personally, like I can get anxious. Like, where am I going with the show? Where am I going with my career? Like, how do how do you stop that?
I think when you get to be old like me, you just understand that that anxiety buys you nothing. You know, what does it get you? You can just go through this and just like, one thing I often say to my students or anybody who I'm talking to who's younger, and they sort of say, I'm so anxious about X. I say, are you anxious or just an adult now? I mean, it's like, this is the human condition, is that you just, life is complicated, it's messy, and a lot of times it sucks and you don't know where it's going, and just breathe through it. That's the way it is. It's life. We never know anything, because you could think you know everything. And then, like, look, maybe it's because I lived through my husband's death. It's like life was going along pretty freaking great. It couldn't have been better. And then one day he had back pain, and the next thing you know, it was over for us. Okay, it wasn't back pain. And so I think that when you realize that it's all fragile, you've got to stop you got to stop being anxious. It is what it is. You got to do the best you can with what you got.
That's so powerful and such a needed reminder. It really is.
I wish I didn't have the knowledge to remind you of it, but it is what it is. I mean, you get to a point where you realize you can only control so much. Yeah. And then, so being anxious about it is just not going to help you at all. Yeah.
It doesn't support you. I'm curious, like, when you think about the misconceptions or myths around, like, living an authentic life or living in your purpose, I feel like oftentimes people associate that with never feeling anxiety or life feeling easier. Do you agree with that?
I think that when you are living your purpose, you have less anxiety.
Less.
Yes, and I think you're happier. Okay, look, there's no direct line, but generally when I experience people who are living their purpose, and we measure that with the test, so I actually meet people and they have got 0% gap between how they want to live and how they are currently living, and we call that the authenticity gap, and they're generally happier. I can't lie. They are generally happier. Mm-hmm. Do they feel anxiety? Less. I mean, to have it's pretty hard to attain a state where you feel completely no anxiety. And I mean, that's pretty hard, but there are definitely people. Look, that's why I like people to live in their purpose. I like that a lot. That's my job. That's my life's work, is to help people live their purpose. Okay, I dedicate my whole life to it. And so I want people to get there because they're generally sharing the joy. I mean, they feel it for themselves and they turn around and spread it. So I like that.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like people latch on to maybe a purpose that was from a past season of their life?
All the time. Or a purpose that was told to them by their parents, like you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to go into tech, or like, parents and well-meaning people who think they're helping you, or, you sort of had success at X and then it's not working for you anymore, but you hold on to it with your fingernails because it did once work. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about that.
There's a lot of people who show up at becoming you are people who are like, please help me here because I'm doing what I'm used to be doing or what I'm supposed to be doing, and I am not happy. What's
the resistance to let go of a past purpose? Is it just identity? Is it
everything? It's the familiar, it's identity, it's just all those things that you would expect. And look, I'm sorry, I'm going to be nerdy, Suzy, for a moment. Okay,
please do. Come on.
There's roughly 6 million studies done by the greatest academics of all time who tell us that human beings, by nature, fear change. We fear change. Okay, we resist change. I mean, like there's this great study, one of the most cited studies ever, that basically says that people are very, very happy when they get feedback, when they're going to get feedback that they sense is going to be positive and telling them that everything's going well, and they literally will resist any feedback that says, something's bad going on and it's you and you got to change. We don't want to hear it. Yeah. Okay? It's human nature. So that's why we hold on, because we don't want to change.
Do you feel like purpose is something that you create or is like divinely placed in your life?
So one thing I want to say just to start this is that most people are told to go live their purpose, but they're never told how to find and figure out their purpose. And that's where the confusion starts. It's like, okay, I'm going to go find my purpose. It must be this, but there's actual hard work that you can do to figure out your purpose. That's why I developed the methodology. But divinely placed is an interesting question because some people are religious people who believe in a divine creator, and some people are not. I mean, I happen to be a very religious person. I do believe that there's a divine creator. I'd never impose that on people as part of my work because everybody has a right to have their own chosen level of faith. And so if you're asking me personally, Suzy, do you feel that there's a divine purpose for people? I would say, that there's something that you uniquely were meant to do. It's like Joan of Arc said, I'm not afraid. I was born to do that, born to do this, okay? And I definitely feel like I am doing what I was born and created to do. I do. I believe that personally. But if somebody is not faithful and they don't want to conceive of it that way, they still can be doing what they were born to do without having as part of it that it was divinely ordained for them, okay?
Yeah. I'm always curious about that, right? It's like, yes, from a spiritual perspective, I'm asking that question, and I appreciate, like, hey, if someone, is not spiritually aligned with that or whatever, like, totally get that. But I'm always curious. It's like, do we create the purpose or are we given the purpose?
Look, I don't know, but when you're living your purpose, I tell you, I've seen many people who are, because this is my work and my research. It's funny, whether they're religious or not, when they're doing it, it feels so good. They often wonder, how involved was the universe?
I'm going to ask you this might be metaphysical here, but I usually ask this question in a different form. Do you think everyone's meant to find their purpose in this lifetime?
100%.
Meant to. Not can they, but meant to.
Yes, I do.
Really?
I do. Maybe for different reasons than other people, but I think that absolutely that we're meant to.
Why?
Because, look, again, like usually conversations don't go this way, but because I happen to be a faithful person, that there's a verse in the Bible, John 10:10, where he basically says you're put on earth to live an abundant life and, the life you were meant to live. So I believe that. I believe that each person was put here to live the life they were born to live. It feels so good. And you spread that goodness, and it starts this incredible, beautiful, virtual circle of events. When you're happy and fulfilled, you turn around and you don't spread anger and negativity when you're happy and fulfilled. You spread joy.
Yeah.
And so, like, what a perfect world it would be if we were all doing what we were supposed to be doing and could spread joy to the person next to us and behind us and in front of us. And so, I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You don't take it or leave it, okay? Nobody has to have, I'm not proselytizing here, but I'm saying, you're asking me personally, do I think that everybody should be doing it? Yeah, I do. Because I think the world would be a better place.
The world would be such a better place, right?
That's right.
I mean, you wouldn't be driving in a New York City street and get flipped off at a red light.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
It just makes me think about that. Like,
no, I know. I mean, like, honestly, what it would end would be nihilism. And I think that that's a real scourge. And so I would love to be able to be a part of stopping that, because I've encountered a lot of people who say, what's the point? We're all going to die. And I say, oh, please, please, please don't feel that way. It's a precious thing we have, this life thing. So.
Well, what's preventing them? Is it I don't know how to, I've been told to, but I don't know how to?
I think that's a big piece of it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's no coincidence that this is my work, because I think a part of it is the frustration that they're told to do it, but no one's ever told them how. I think it's a big rip. I mean, I think you go through high school and college and you're sent off with no preparation, no training in how to figure out your purpose. I mean, you can know like the kings of Mesopotamia, okay? And how to calculate the volume of freaking cylinder and not know how to figure out your purpose, which is available to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes some work. It's not a hack, but you can find it out, and you can go through college and never know.
What's the how?
So how is, this is the methodology that we go around teaching. The how is there's 3 data sets you've got to excavate. Your values, all right, which almost no one knows their values. I'm sorry, but almost no one knows them. I mean, I have research that only 17% do. You got to know what your aptitudes are cognitively, your intellectual aptitudes and your emotional aptitudes, and you've got to know what's out there. I mean, who's educating people? Who's telling people what's out there? 135 industries. If we sat here, you could only name 11 probably.
Yeah.
I mean, most kids who graduate from high school can only name 3 jobs unaided. So And you got to open the aperture. So you've got to know what your economically viable interests are. Then at the intersection of those three big data sets, your values, ranked 1 to 16, there's 16 human values, your aptitudes, intellectual and emotional, and your interests, once you know what's out there, at the intersection of those three big data sets, there's some jobs for you. There's a life for you. There's a purpose for you. You've got to find which ones are the most aligned. I mean, we have a tool, you put all that data in, and it says, okay, here's one job for you. It's 89% aligned with your values, 92% aligned with your aptitudes, and 77% aligned with your interests. There's that one job. And you got to figure, there's a way. You got to get there. Otherwise, you're just floating around like a cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good, actually. Where's the tool? Where could we guide people to the tool?
You can get it in the book, or you can come to a workshop. I've got free webinars.
You have an upcoming workshop.
I do. I have a workshop coming up
in May?
It's in May. There's a 3-day workshop. Go to my website, SuzyWelch.com. Okay. I have a free webinar coming up soon. It's in April. Go to my website, and I'm going to explain the whole methodology in a completely free webinar. You can listen to my podcast every single week on my podcast. I sit there and talk about the methodology until you can gag. Okay. So and you can read my book. The thing about the book, and I love the book, is that at the end of the day, you kind of need that tool where you put all the data in and it spits out the jobs and so that you get in the workshop. And so.
Okay. I love this.
All right.
It's not just about finding a job, though, right?
It's finding a career, finding a purpose. Yeah. It is. It is because most people have to work. Okay. So it is about finding where you're supposed to be going. So yeah, I could tell you, yeah, you should go, rescue orphans in some place in the world, and that could be meeting everything except for usually people have to pay the rent. Okay.
Right.
So look, if the tool accounts for that, though, because if you have no value around making money and you just want to get by, the tool takes into account lack of interest in having affluence. So it will tell you exactly what you should do according to who you are. I mean, that's the thing is, it's what the output is. It's incredibly unique to each person because you are incredibly unique.
I love that. I love that.
Thanks.
Would you so I'm just thinking about this, like if I'm a consumer of this, which I am.
Yeah.
And I have a job, I identify it to be out of alignment with what I am feeling is my purpose. I utilize this tool. I identify a particular role, right? Like, do you suggest that they just jump off the cliff and build a plane on the way down as they're in pursuit of that? Or is it like...
Yeah, okay. So I've seen, 200,000 people have done this process, basically. Okay, so I've seen every different way. I don't know what your risk appetite is. I don't know what your courage level is. I have seen people do it in little tiny baby steps like, one time we had a person go through the process. She was a climate scientist who wanted to be a Broadway producer. She went through the process and the process said to her, guess what? You actually were meant to be a Broadway producer.
Wow.
And so she went back and she thought, okay, I'm going to take a class at night to learn how to be a Broadway producer. I'm going to do this. It's going to take me 2 to 3 years to transition, right? In the middle of it, she got really frustrated and she just ripped the Band-Aid off and she got a job as like a baby kind of almost like a assistant in a Broadway producer's office. And like she just did it. She took the hit because she was desperate to become her authentic self. And very early on, they looked at her and they said, wait, haven't you been doing this your whole life? You're amazing at it. I mean, she went right to her purpose and she quickly accelerated. But some people, they see what it is. And like one student or one person in the workshop went through the whole process. He was in finance. He realized that his purpose was to be a fashion designer. Okay, it happens. And he stayed in finance for 2 years to gather the money so that he could go restart his life.
Hey everyone, pausing this episode to share something with you. In a world of hyper competitiveness, I think the best quote that I can share with you is that there is no one in the world youer than you, and that is truer than true, which is exactly why I wanted to share with you today about Brand Builders Group. It's an organization I've been working with over the last few months. It is absolutely incredible, and today I am sharing with you the opportunity to hop on a free brand call with a brand strategist to help you break through the wall of obscurity. We are in a hyper competitive space at the moment, whether it be on social or with your podcast or with your blog or with your books or getting on stage. No matter what your endeavor is, this is an opportunity for you to hop on a free strategy call with someone from the team to be able to help you navigate the waters of making sure that you are breaking through the wall and taking advantage of all of the opportunities that you most definitely deserve. Again, there is no one in the world youer than you. So no matter what the problem is that you solve, there might be other people that are out there that also solve the same problem, but there is a strategy that can be placed into your initiatives that will help you break through that wall with speed. So I want to share this with you. It is freebrandcall.com/Matt Labrie. That is going to be in the show notes of this episode, whether you're tuned in from audio or through YouTube, whatever it is, freebrandcall.com/Matt Labrie. I think that's important. I really appreciate that response because, yes, again, it's very individualized in this sense, but it's like, I feel like people hear advice these days and they want to rush the process. And maybe it's just being a New Yorker. I don't know. I'm a born and raised New Yorker, and it's like, that's how I am. Or it's like, I just want to get to the finish line, get to the finish line.
But at a certain point, you're going to have to go.
You will, for sure.
Have to do it. But I'm all for people doing it at the speed they need to do it. I mean, I've definitely seen people get their results from the Career Catalyst, this tool that we have, and say, yeah, that's all good in theory. I'm going to go do this over here because it makes a lot of money, or does this or does that. And about a year, I always think to myself, I'll be hearing from them. And about a year later, I hear from them saying, okay, I'm ready to do it, because they went and tried to do something that wasn't their purpose when they finally knew what their purpose was. And they were like, okay, it sucks. Yeah. And so, look, you got one wild and precious life. You just might as well go do it. It's going to work out better.
Go do it. What's the thing that changed you most about what you're currently pursuing? And the impact you're making with it? Like, what is the one thing that's just like, whoa, like, I was not expecting this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting any of it. I mean, I had the methodology and I started to teach it. I went to NYU and I said, hey, I have an idea for this class that will help people figure out what to do with their lives. This was in 2021. End of 2020. I have an idea for a class that might help people figure out how to answer the question, what should I do with my life? I said, I wish I'd taken this class in business school. I've been working on this methodology for 20-something years. And the dean said to me, I had known him for a long time, and the dean said to me, well, why don't we try it as a little experiment? And I said, okay, a little experiment sounds great. And, then they put the course in the course catalog, and you put a course in a course catalog that says, Becoming You, Crafting the Authentic Life You Want and Need. And, it's, if you build it, they will come kind of thing. And the dean called me, he goes, hey, you know how we said that was going to be a little experiment? How'd you like a little bit bigger experiment? And I was like, well, we can try it. And so what shocked me was that it worked so well. I was like floored. I mean, I was like, well, we were trying this and it immediately worked incredibly well. Like that the people did what the process told them to do. Then they went and lived it. And like the immediate efficacy of the methodology was more mind-blowing to me than anyone else, because I was like, I had this idea. Did I know it was going to work the way it worked? No. I mean, as soon as I started seeing the results, I mean, I remember the dean coming to me and saying like, can you teach this to everyone, because we are hearing? And I was like, yeah, let's just try it. Now I teach it in mega sections, okay, because it worked. So then I think the other thing that really surprised me was, along the way, I thought, if I'm ever going to scale this and get it to all the people who I think need it, I need to start creating digital tools so that people can take it without me in the room. I can't be everywhere. And I got dogs. I can't be traveling constantly, right? And so I started to create these. And when I started to create the ValuesBridge, which is the tool that we now use, and anyone can use it, valuesbridge.com, that when I created that tool, I thought, I hope, can I create a digital tool? And I surrounded myself by the smartest people I could find, and I got with the greatest people who create these kind of tests, and we worked our asses off for years to create this. And then what blew my mind was like people started getting their ValuesBridge results. I mean, 150,000 people have taken the ValuesBridge in the past 6 months, and they got their results back, and they were like, thank you for telling me who I am. I needed this. And then the biggest shock to me was when I got a call from the neurology department at Mass General Hospital, and they said, we heard about the ValuesBridge. We have an idea. When people start to get brain disease, when they get Alzheimer's, when they get a brain injury, the pain for them, the emotional pain for them, is that they start to lose sense of who they are. They can't remember who they are. Their identity slips away from them. It's like they're crying and mourning themselves as they are leaving the room. And the problem is they didn't have the words to describe themselves to begin with. So what if would you be interested in working with us to teach and to give the ValuesBridge to people in early stages of Alzheimer's, dementia, any kind of neurological disease, where the ValuesBridge would give them the language to talk about who they are so that they can hold on to it for longer, because they're going to go into this gray area and then this dark area. But what if we could give them 6 more months or a year longer of having words to describe who they were? We think your tool can do that. And honestly, I got out of my chair in my desk after I got off the phone. We, of course, immediately agreed to go into clinical trials. I got out of my desk in my office and I laid down on the floor because I physically could not deal with the fact that this thing that we created might even be able to help people who were in the throes of this terrible sickness. And so, yeah, what surprised me? Every freaking thing has surprised me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just a professor, okay? So,
yeah. What's mind-blowing to me is that I believe you said 83% of people are not clear on their values.
Yeah.
Like,
well, first of all, people don't know what values are. Okay, what
are they? So
values are the underlying motivations, desires, wants, and needs that we have that galvanize our actions and decisions. There's 16 human values. Most people mix up values with virtues. Okay, I'll ask any person on the street, what are your values? They'll say honesty, kindness, fairness. And I'll say, yeah, those are beautiful. Those are virtues. And virtues are social constructs that we all agree are good. If you don't believe in honesty and fairness, I don't want to know you. I'd like to be very judgmental about virtues.
Yeah.
Virtues are good. And from the beginning of time, societies have agreed on virtues, okay? Values are choices.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, frankly, family is a value, not a virtue, because some people don't want families.
Right.
Like, why should we hold everybody to this standard that everybody has to have the nuclear family? Okay, I think that some people do and some people don't. And if you really want your family, a big or a family, and you want it to be the organizing principle of your life, then you're high on the value of family centrism. But you could say, look, frankly, my work or achievement are my top values, and family centrism is actually quite low to me. So I think the first thing is that we're not educated anywhere to know what values actually are or what the values are. Okay, I think there's 16 values. There's other values scholars, of which I can be an asshat and refer to myself as a values scholar because technically I am. But I would say that, some scholars think there's 14. There's one scholar who thinks there's 19. I am pretty damn sure there's 16 and that they're all in my test. But look, and they all exist on a continuum. And everybody has these 16 values just in different levels and in a different rank order. That's why the test says, okay, give us 22 minutes. We're going to tell you your values, 1 to 16. And then we're going to tell you how much you're living each one. Because you can have a very strong value and not be living it at all. That's heartache.
Yeah.
That's pain. Okay? And so you got to know that stuff about yourself. You can't just go floating around saying, I think my values are family and work, but I don't know. And you try to figure them out on the fly. You can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you saying that out of those 16 values, we have all of them, but they're ranked differently? Yeah. Okay, I did hear that correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got it.
That's so
they're ranked
interesting.
Differently for each person. Now,
right.
Does it matter? Yeah, because it drives what kind of work you're going to be happy doing. And frankly, it drives how happy you're going to be in a relationship. I mean, the first off-label use of becoming you was people taking the ValuesBridge and then going home and making their partner take it and then comparing values.
Really?
Yes. I mean, that's the number one thing. Right? Like my students, the first time the ValuesBridge came out, I mean, now everyone can take the ValuesBridge. I remember my students first took it when it was in beta, and they would say, can I give this test to my husband? And I'd be like, yeah, go do it.
With the intention of seeing if they're in alignment.
Comparing. I'll tell you, we now have a functionality in the test that if somebody also takes it, and you both check the box, your values come up next to each other and they compare them. It's compared and how much conflict you have on your values.
Oh, my goodness.
So my daughter took the test when she was engaged. And right after she and her fiance took the test, they said, oh, Mom, come on into the kitchen and read our ValuesBridge results and tell us. And I was like, oh, please, God, please, I'm begging you. And I was walking towards them. And as I walked into the room, my daughter said, is it weird when a couple has the exact same top 6 values? I mean, I almost fell to my knees with joy. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Okay. And they're super happily married. Why? Because they have the exact same top 6 values. Some difference down at the bottom out of the 16. But generally, I mean, you got your top 6 values exactly the same. They just agree on everything. It's a little bit annoying, but it's darling. I'm glad they have it.
Do you feel like you need that to have a successful relationship?
Yes.
Why were you hesitant to answer that?
Because everybody hates that answer. Okay, they say opposites attract. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I mean, look, I think you can have values differences. If you have a great language for negotiating them, okay, your partner loves, there's a value called belonging. That's family, friends. I mean, it's not family, it's community and friends, okay? And say your partner has a very high value of belonging. They love going to weddings. They love going on vacations with their friends and so forth. And you don't have that as a high value. In fact, say it's your last value. There are couples that can negotiate that difference. They have a language about it. They've learned to work it out. They say, okay, you go do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. And they don't fight about it. But if you don't have a language to work out a difference of where your values are, it's very hard. I mean, every divorce ultimately is a values breakdown. You did not work out your values differences. Every single divorce.
Do you think value alignment is the number one thing of a successful relationship?
Yeah, I do.
Number one.
I do. I mean, I think about my husband and I was married twice. Okay. So I had my first marriage, and look, that guy was married to the first time. We're very dear friends right now. You can't make me say a bad word about him. Okay. But we had no values the same. Then I met my wonderful and fabulous husband, who I was married to until he died. And we didn't have the ValuesBridge while he was still living, unfortunately. But if I had to guess, knowing him as well as I did, our top 10 values with a little bit of difference, probably at numbers 1 and 2 were a little bit different. Like he probably had belovedness as number 1. That's the value of romantic love, how much you organize your life around your partner. And I will always have cosmos, my faith, as my top value. And then belovedness was probably number 2 for me. After that, I'd say we were probably identical.
I feel like I need to do this.
You do.
I feel like I need to do this.
Got to do it.
So what's the website? ValuesBridge.com.
TheValuesBridge.com. And look, I want to be very candid. There's a free version, which will tell you your top 2 or 3 values. And then there's a paid version for $29. And I wish it could be free, but engineers are not free. So, so I want to be real. I mean, I'm sending you there, and you may have to pay. If you want the full report, you're going to pay.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Question for our listeners, right?
Yeah.
There's because I know there's someone out there that's like, hey, well, I'm not in college anymore.
Right.
Right? Like, what would you say to someone that feels like maybe it's too late?
Okay. Well, first of all, I almost never deal with people in college. I teach MBAs, and almost everybody who gets involved in the Becoming You methodology is 25 or above, because you're sort of on a conveyor belt up until then. Then suddenly you get to be 25 or so, and you're like, whoa, what am I going to do with my life? Because I fell off the conveyor belt. And so, but even at 25, I have people say to me, oh, wait, I went to college for X, but actually I think I'm beginning to realize I should be doing Y. Is it too late? And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Okay. I mean, like, it is never too late. When you're dead, it's too late. We've had people go through Becoming You, the whole methodology in the workshop that I teach at NYU in open enrollment, go through it 78 years old.
No way.
Yes, way. I love them. I want to be that person. I want to keep reinventing until I can't reinvent anymore. Why? Why stop?
That is amazing.
I know. I love them. I love the
Does that happen often?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have a whole cohort of people come and do it after 60, because what happens after 60 is they've given their life to the man. I mean, they've lived the first part of their life for somebody else, and then at 60, they're like, F it. It's not, the clock is not ticking backwards. And so we have a lot of people who come and take it. We call them the third halfers. So like they go through it and they stir things up. They do.
You just gave me an idea. I feel like this is what I need to get for my parents.
Yeah, have them come.
You just, like,
I would love them to come. I mean, look, the number one, when I started teaching the workshops at NYU, the open enrollment workshops, like early on, it was just all my students sending their parents.
Oh, really?
It was like they would come up after and they'd say, my daughter Alex was in your class. And I was like, oh, I knew you looked familiar. Right? I could see their faces, with their kids. So, I mean, kids send their parents all the time.
Gift.
You know what I really love it? I love it when parents come with their kids. We get that all the time.
Yeah.
They come together, moms and sons, moms and daughters, or married couples come all the time. So we'll take it all. We love it.
My parents are both approaching retirement, and I'm like,
bring them, or let's send them. I think it's a great gift for them. It'd be so much fun.
I have to do that.
Okay.
I have to do that. Hey, a couple more questions for you here. I know that you need to run in a little bit. First one for you.
Yeah.
I was asked this by an incredible guy. I've asked it to everyone ever since. You've given us a ton already, so you might be like, Matt, I've answered that. Well, let's just go with it.
Give it to me.
If I knew what you know, how would my life be different?
I don't know you well enough to know if you're living
Hypothetical.
Well, if you knew what I knew, you would be living your purpose. You would know what your values are.
Yeah.
Cold. I could shake you in the middle of the night and you'd say, yeah, my number one value. And you would know how close, if you weren't living your purpose, you'd know how close or far you were from it and why. You would know in the details. You would say, yeah, I'm really, really close, but where the hole is I'm not actually living my value of belovedness or family. So you would know, you'd have such a diagnostic of yourself, okay? I think you'd also know that it's going to work out. I mean, that it's going to be okay. Like, I was so, if I can kind of grim for a second.
Please do.
A couple of years ago, we lost an unbelievably close, my daughter's best friend. Terrible. Took her own life. And it took us all by surprise. We didn't see it coming. She had a bad day and she thought there was no way out for it. And anyway, it was terrible. And I'd known her for 15 years. It was terrible. And she was the same age as my students. And I went into my students. My students knew it had happened because she was well known and it was in the media. And one of the people they quoted in the media about it was me. And so I went into my class and my students were all looking at me and they understood I had just been through this. And I said, I'm not going to teach class today. I just have to tell you one thing. It's going to be okay. And even if it's not okay, it will be okay. And you have to trust me on this. It's going to be okay. And as I was speaking, everyone was crying. And I think that we need to hear this, that it can sometimes feel like if I could tell you what I know, it's not like I've had a life where la-di-da-di-da. I watched my husband die, for God's sake. I mean, it's like I have been to the wars. And so if I can say this, and if I could put that into everybody, just to understand there will be dark times, but it is going to be okay.
How do you see the light in the dark?
I mean, I'm a faithful person. So, I mean, I do believe that, and look, I honestly believe people are more good than bad. Even in this day and age where it's very hard to believe that, I've seen the goodness of humanity in times when you would not expect it. So I think that hope is a choice. It's a choice. You can actively choose it. You can actively choose it. And I advise that you do.
Is it like something, I've, like I said, prepped for this, listened to you a whole bunch of times. I know that when you were in some of your dark periods, like you were like, hey, my girlfriends were like, they surrounded me like a wolf pack.
Oh, they did. Especially
right?
my widow friends, boy, oh boy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you mentioned like, hey, I'm a person of faith. Like when you're in that dark time, like lean on faith. Like
I pray, but I've got kids.
Yeah.
And my kids are amazing. I have 4 kids. They're amazing. And I've got friends. But I also, I kind of know myself.
Yeah.
I mean, so I know how to get out of my own way.
What puts people in their own way?
I think you remember how we started talking about those like 4 dynamics?
Expectations.
Expedience. Yep. I mean, I'm acutely aware, like in a way I have a very meta life because I have a life where all I talk about is the meaning of life. I mean, that's my job, is to talk about the meaning of life. Like, that's what I study. That's what I write papers on. And so, I mean, I don't get in my own way because I'm actively, like, I'm not thinking about, like, opening a restaurant or, whatever. Like, I'm thinking about, like, the meaning of life all the time. It is, sometimes you just want to take a break from your brain, but, and then I take a walk with my dogs. But I'd say that it's, I get out of my own way because I'm always thinking about how am I in my own way.
Yeah. That's what interests me most. Like your becoming you is like aligned with Stern, right?
Yeah, no, I'm a professor at Stern.
Why not psychology?
Well, I'm a professor of values expression. I mean, so look, so actually, I teach a big class at Stern on management. I mean, I'm also, know a lot about management. I ended up at Stern. Perhaps I could have gone and taught to the undergraduates. I ended up at Stern because I have spent a lot of time as a business journalist, and that's how it kind of happened. So, I mean, you make a good point.
I just think about that. I'm like, why does it matter in business?
Well, because the students at business, it doesn't matter it necessarily in business, but the reason why Becoming You started at Stern was because, I mean, it's kind of serendipitous. I knew the dean there. Yeah. And MBAs in particular are asking, what should I do with my life? I mean, it's not like, I didn't go over to the Langone Medical School because those people all know they're going to be doctors. Okay?
Right.
Although, interestingly, Becoming You is being adopted at a lot of medical schools right now to go into their curriculum. So go figure. But I went to Stern. And look, one of the first things they said at Stern is, can you teach this to all the undergraduates who are not necessarily going into business? Yeah. Because it has wide applicability.
I was going to say, it's like, it's for everyone. Like, this is a life thing.
It is. It totally is. But look, I love Stern. Look, they were the ones who looked at me and the dean said, let's try it. Yeah. And they didn't have to do that. I mean, I'm so grateful to them.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring up being like close or far from your purpose. Mm-hmm. Does distance matter?
Yeah, because that distance is the exact measure of your pain. It's painful not to be living your purpose. It's owie. It's like, there's a great proverb that says that hope deferred makes the heart sick.
Ooh.
And
hope deferred makes the heart sick.
But a dream fulfilled is the tree of life. Okay, that's in Proverbs, and it is that's so true. I mean, like when you're not living your purpose, your heart literally can feel sick. You can feel. I mean, that's where the term "heart sick." You know, it's So,
and people just bypass this stuff, right? I mean, I've been out of like alignment a ton of times in life, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, that's right.
Right,
that's
and
right.
it's like we just bypass it and we just keep going and chugging through
until we can't anymore.
Until we can't anymore.
You can't hold your breath forever.
Yeah.
So usually what happens is the body keeps score, as the great book says. I mean, eventually it gets to be too painful, and we go have a gigantic midlife crisis, or we break down, or we go to Bali, or we do whatever. But there's a the worst kind of situation is when you're kind of close, but not all the way close. And I call this your sort of B+ life. It's more dangerous to have a B+ life than it is to have a B- life. B-,
So
C+
good.
life, then you'll get out of it because it's not sustainable. But B+, you can bump along for decades.
Do you feel like we have to hit that, I don't want to call it a rock bottom moment, to like catapult us into...
Unfortunately, too often. Look, very self-aware people will get out of it sooner than other people, okay? But you can bump along for a long time with it being good enough. I call it the velvet coffin.
Oh
okay?
my goodness,
it's
so good.
comfy. It's a velvet coffin, and the lid's sort of slowly closing on you. And you can kind of stay in that velvet coffin a really long time, all right? But if you're living far, far away from your purpose, you'll get out of it sooner, because people just cannot stay in pain for a sustained period of time.
That is so good. That's just eye-opening, though. It's like the closer you are, the longer you stay in it.
Yeah.
And
B+ is bad. A-, take it. Take it to the bank. It's fantastic. A, that's beautiful. B+, you'll just go along. And then you do something really crazy. Then you sort of one day you wake up and you look at your wife and you say, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore, or whatever. And they're stunned.
Yeah.
And you hurt a lot of people when you do that. So I'd say, I think the whole B+ life thing, it always makes people cringe, because they're like, shoot, I've done that. Or yeah.
If I'm walking away with anything, it's like that right there.
Yeah, good.
That's so good.
Thanks.
And very eye-opening.
Okay.
Hey, so I have one last question for you, but before that, we are pointing people to the book, Becoming You.
Sure.
Show notes, description, it's in there.
Podcast, my free newsletter, free webinars. If you want to do this, come to NYU. People come from around the world. We've had somebody come from Madagascar to take this 3 day.
Whoa.
Yeah, it blew her mind and changed her life. So whatever, we're trying to meet people everywhere they are.
Everything's on the website as to like when the in-person.
SuzyWelch.com,
Perfect.
BecomingYouLabs.com. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Last question for you. Suzy makes it to whatever year she wants to make it to. She impacts as many people, teaches as many people, all of the things you do. But we could only remember you for one piece of advice. This is not to be confused with, I want to be remembered as a good-hearted person. Like, when we think of your name, what's the piece of advice you want to be remembered for?
I think it's better to be the author of your life than the editor.
Talk to me about that.
I think we spend a lot of times letting other people write the narrative of our life, and we're afraid to put the pen in our own hand and to claim who we are, to claim our values and our aptitudes and our interests, and to tell the story of our life only we can write. Now, look, a lot of times these editors are people that we love. There are children, there are spouses, there are parents, but at a certain point you are not living the life you were meant to live unless you are the author of it. And so that would be my...
You just mic dropped on us like so hard. That was so good. That's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
I really love that.
I mean, it's so good.
Mic drop, absolute mic drop. Suzy Welch, thank you so much for this opportunity. Seriously, I really appreciate it. Again, all of those links are in the show notes in the description of this episode. But expressing my gratitude. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks.